If we click on any event in the event display, then underneath it will reveal the editor as long as you have the editor tab visible right here. If you don't see it, then a fast way to get to the editor is to double click a MIDI event. The same is true of audio, but we'll get to audio in a little bit. Now, when you select a MIDI event, let's take a look at the MIDI data in the editor. You'll see the keyboard on the left-hand side, and it's a keyboard turned on its side with the lower notes towards the bottom and the higher notes towards the top. And then you already kind of know what this grid represents, the bars, beats, and hash marks. And here's the timeline, so we can see that timeline and where the notes are in relation to the timing of the project. And here you can select a single note to edit, or you can select multiple notes to edit. And you'll also find the toolbar for the editor window, which is different from that found in the project window, because these tools work on the individual MIDI data themselves. For example, in this particular passage, we have one note that just sustains the whole time. But if we wanted to break that up into 4 individual whole notes, then I could use the split tool to make splits where I wanted the notes to be. And the precision of where you make those cuts will depend on if you have snap on or off. So let's turn snap off right now, and that way I can come right to this point and make a note right there and split that other note right there. Now I have 4 individual notes instead of one long sustained note, but I'm going to undo that. You could also erase individual data, or if you wanted to leave that data in place, you can use the mute tool. So clicking on mute will gray the note out and mute that individual note and allow the other notes around it to continue to play. And not only can you edit the note values themselves, but you can edit the velocity, or how hard the keys went down when they were being recorded. Here in the controller window, the default display of the controller window is velocity. But here you could come and change how hard notes were played, so that maybe you wanted the recording to start with softer notes and then build up to louder notes. And so you can edit that velocity data down here. And to make even more surgical edits, you can also come here to the event info line. And when you select an event, you get to see a lot of really meticulous data about that selected event. Where the note starts, where it ends, how long it is, its pitch, velocity, MIDI channel, off velocity, which you'll probably never need to worry about, the articulations, release length, and some other data that we won't be able to see here. And if this editor is a little small for you to work in, or if you wanted to put it on a different window, you can hit this little button right here, which will open the editor in a separate window. And now you have a lot more screen real estate with which to do your editing. You can also put this key window on its own separate monitor if you do a lot of MIDI editing and you need to see more of the keyboard, or just need more space to make more precision edits. And lastly, if we come to the drums, I'm going to show you how to make individual selections of like data. In other words, let's say that we wanted to change a note value on the hi-hats from a closed hi-hat to an open hi-hat. Well, we've got all of these other notes to worry about, so we couldn't do a select all, because doing that will be editing all of the events. All we want to do is this long line of closed hi-hat events. So what I'm going to do is come over to the keyboard itself, hold down the controller command key, and click on the note value. In this case, it is F# number 1, and it selects all of the data within that event. And then I can click and drag up or down to have it play the note that I want, which in this case is going to be the A# number 1. If I didn't want to take the chance of moving them to the left or the right, and I wanted to leave them in their original space, then before I lift off the mouse key, I would hold down the controller command key and then lift off, and it leaves the timing in place. But I'm going to undo that and show you how to make selections of like data from one temporal point to the right. So in this last measure of this event, maybe we wanted the last few notes to not be the closed hi-hat, but the open hi-hat. So what I'm going to do is click anywhere to deselect the events. Then I'm going to hold down the Shift key and double click. That will select all of the like data from the originally selected note. And now I could click and drag up and change those to the open hi-hat instead, and hold down controller command and lift off. And now I'll get open hi-hats for that last measure. Let me come back here to the drum set and we'll just take a listen to that. And next, let's talk about the drum editor.